All right, and it looks like we have our bracket ready.
Update that bracket. We got that finals: Robert Stanley versus Sandoiche Matthias.
All right. So, the Brazilian hype monster versus Robert Stanley, the man who had to put down magic to pursue, a career as a member of a troupe that he had always dreamed of. Now with a second chance, the silver lining of the quarantine. So this is quite an exciting finals. Big thanks to Evan reaching out to the international crowd. And kind of just big thanks to Evan for making this whole thing run.
Honestly, Evan is incredible at these events. He's behind the scenes. You don't really get to see him a lot from the coverage side if you're watching our stream. But if you're interacting in the tournaments, he's always there to answer your questions. So huge shout out to Evan Whitehouse. Robert Stanley has not lost yet this tournament.
Yes, if he wins, he will go on to be undefeated for the first Lotus Box League tournament.
Very impressive.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. This seems like a pretty solid opener.
Yeah.
A little slow in the mana, but we got plenty of things to do.
Hey, next turn you can do Hunted Witness number 2 and then play your tap land.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what we're going to be leading with here. We might be leading with the tap land so that we can do multiple things. Or cast our 2-drop starting next turn.
Yep.
So, all right, Stanley, first seed in this event. He's going to be on the play. He's leading out with a Hunted Witness. So let's talk about this matchup a little bit. So we've got black-white sacrifice on Stanley's side. We've got Temur Reclamation on Sandoiche's side. It'll be really interesting to see. I think that we've seen Stanley defeat this matchup both in the top 8 and in the Swiss pretty handily, I might add.
This is a little more of where you see the strength of white-black versus white or versus red-black.
Sure. You're just able to navigate the game into a place where you can close out the game very quickly, which is not something that red has as easy access doing.
I'm just going to do play-by-play this match. I'm so excited. So Stanley attacks for 2, plays a Hunted Witness.
And the Plains is being a little awkward here because we're not going to be able to deploy our Fiend Artisan, which is something that we might want to be doing, earlier on here. But it looks like we were actually rewarded with an Essence Scatter.
Yeah,
coming
Essence
down
Scatter on Hunted Witness. That's much better than coming down on our,
right.
Death Shadow in Standard, as he's called, Fiend Artisan.
Fiend Artisan has been mad. 13-13.
Oh,
Death Shadow don't get that big.
Well, yours don't. Mine do. I've been playing with Become Immense in my Death Shadow deck, but he gets big.
Yeah, Become Immense will definitely make a Death Shadow larger than you've ever seen one.
So the question on everybody's mind, and since you're the color commentator, you can just tell us, is this enough pressure for Robert Stanley to win? And then after you answer this, we'll just turn the stream off because that'll be the answer.
That'll be the end of it.
That'll be the end of that.
For game 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of Stanley's spot at this point. It feels like we've been a little slow to get onto the board. This Fiend Artisan has been deployed just a 2/2, still in stomp range, not ideal. But, Sandoiche is already down to 11. So hopefully we can convert that into something. This Cruel Celebrant definitely makes things pretty awkward in terms of if you can develop a big board state, it's kind of guaranteed damage because there's no way of exiling things with the Cruel Celebrant. One really good thing that's happened here, though, is that Stanley's been able to untap with Fiend Artisan.
Right.
And Fiend Artisan, when you can untap with the Fiend Artisan, I feel pretty good about being able to sacrifice the Hunted Witness to get something.
Yeah, I mean, strong plays, and so you see the attack from Robert Stanley for 2.
Yeah. One thing I'm not sure I'm a fan of, though, is this Cruel Celebrant attack.
Right.
And it seems obvious now, but attacking into the 4 mana, that's a potential Nightback Ambusher.
Does Fiend Artisan only work as, I suppose, a sorcery?
It's only activated as a sorcery.
Okay.
Right? But the benefit now is we can resolve our Lurrus
Yeah.
and go ahead and get this Cruel Celebrant back into play, so certainly not the worst scenario.
No, that was, got a little bit of value on our Lurrus as long as there's not a, sweeper in the wings, and I don't believe that Sandoiche is on one of those right now.
Yeah.
Then we're in a pretty commanding position. Sandoiche sort of below that kind of magic number of life that I've usually called, like, once they have under a single-digit life total, you can usually burn them out. And if they have much more than that, then usually Uro or whatever is going to get them back to 20 before the game ends.
Yeah. And at this point, it looks like Sandoiche does not have access to any burn-based removal. I think that not only would we have seen a removal on the Lurrus this turn, but last turn we would have seen a removal on the 2/2 Artisan.
Right.
So Stanley kind of knows that he's in the clear there, and he's going to be able to use his Fiend Artisan to get an additional Cruel Celebrant on
awesome.
the battlefield, and that could potentially lead into an alpha that could be devastating here.
Yeah. The Cruel Artisan, and then the next thing you can get is another Lampad, and then you're in the business.
Yeah. And I don't even know if we're going to get to that point. So what happens if we attack with our creatures here? If we attack with Lurrus and Hunted Witness, the Hunted Witness attack seems pretty free. I just don't know if you can afford to block this. Like, if we had a sack outlet, we would sacrifice this creature, likely.
Yeah.
So the attack just kind of gets into free damage.
Well, yeah, I just think getting the Lampad is the easiest way to, close the door.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. Sandoiche untaps, has 3 cards in their hand. 2 cards in his hand.
Yep.
All of their hand. Oof.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's going to be it for game 1. Wow, that was convincing.
This is what we talked about. This Fiend Artisan sort of taking it a little slower, kind of prison locking our opponent out, as opposed to trying to aggro them down with something like a Dreadhorde Butcher. Seems to be the stronger route to take. And then we've seen this board plan from Stanley before, where he is going to prioritize removal spells, because kind of the only way he wins is he gets behind the 8-ball on a Nightpack Ambusher or an Uro or something.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to see him bring in a lot of removal.
Yes. The removal, being able to take care of those kind of problematic cards that can beat you in that small ball game seem really powerful.
Yep. He usually gets rid of 1 or 2 Celebrants, kind of unintuitively, in my opinion, but if it works, it works.
Yeah. Now, we saw Stanley sideboard pretty much instantaneously in the against the red-black sacrifice deck.
Yeah.
Just definitely knew his plans, definitely was kind of built to beat that deck. He gave a little bit of consideration on the last card that he wanted to board out here, but I think that he still has a pretty solid understanding of how he wants to approach this matchup. All right, game 2. Robert Stanley is 1 game away from an undefeated run in this tournament.
This looks like a strong hand. This is a hand that could do it.
Yeah, pretty solid curve here.
A little, not even that bad against sweepers. Call of the Death Dweller just kind of brings it all back.
Yeah, definitely.
Interesting to see him lead on Whisper Squad.
Mm-hmm.
You have to imagine that means that he's not planning to cast a 2-drop.
I could still see wanting to deploy a priest or something, but I could also see just wow. Look at
now
that.
You're definitely gonna cast a 2-drop, so never mind.
Yeah, that was actually really impressive, and might have even been a bait on Stanley's side of being like, all right, I'm gonna cast this 1/1. Do you want to answer it? I've got plenty more.
Well, I was wondering why Whisper Squad over Hunted Witness, because it seems like Whisper Squad sort of puts a little bit more pressure on your mana. You don't necessarily have to activate it, but it's sort of is another thing you could be doing with your mana. But I guess one is definitely a lightning rod for something like a stomp, whereas the other thing is not going to get stomped in a million years.
And with this hand, I certainly don't mind that getting stomped. We've got plenty of stuff that we want to keep in play.
Hunted Witness probably gets so many compliments on his mustache. It's insane.
Very nice. All right, Cruel Celebrant coming down. There was a little bit of a pause here. It makes you wonder if Sandoiche has some sort of interaction spell, and it looks like the Scorching Dragonfire is going to be the one to take out this card before it can sacrifice and get value.
The priest is gone for good.
Mm-hmm. All right, now here's the Wilderness Reclamation. Now, the Wilderness Reclamation resolving when Sandoiche is still at a pretty healthy life total is a really good sign for the Temur Reclamation player.
Yeah, this is kind of the spots where, it seems like you don't win. Again, that magic life total number of like 10 or above, 9 or below kind of coming into play. And, it's possible that, we don't see any more damage get through for Sandoiche kind of easily as far as the way the cards can line up sometimes. And we do get we get a bunch of things in play, but this could be met with an in-turn flame sweep or something, so that'd be mildly unfortunate.
That would be very, very powerful. Looks like it's just a Night Pack Ambusher, but still very strong in this spot.
Night Pack Ambusher almost entirely locks up the board. This is why you saw Robert Stanley prioritize bringing in those removal spells so highly, is because this is quite a powerful card in the matchup. Just by saying go and leaving up maybe removal spells or sweepers, Sandoiche is effectively playing bigger creatures every turn than Robert Stanley has in his deck.
Yep. Now, if this Fiend Artisan can start to really take off and Sandoiche doesn't really have ways of utilizing his position here, like if this turns into a board stall where Sandoiche has a couple of, counter spells, I think that would actually be really good for Stanley, because if Stanley can sacrifice his Hunted Witness, get another Cruel Celebrant, hopefully actually draw some lands so that he can add more to the board as well, I think that this board stall would look pretty favorable for Stanley at this point.
Yep.
All right. So we got a removal spell for this this Cauldron,
and that's an important element of all this.
With no cat, it's certainly not as amazing as it could be, but it looks like he is going to use it to sacrifice this Hunted Witness. I'm not sure that we want to be sacrificing anything here, but Stanley disagrees.
The Flyer, like I said, that magic number of below 10, the Flyer is a creature that can attack here. It doesn't make a Flyer.
No,
I'm thinking of Doom Traveler.
You're thinking of the good one.
We
don't have the good one.
Remember Doom Traveler?
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was a good one.
I really actually like a land here. I think that, you really, in order to utilize your Lurrus, being able to buy things back, getting the extra lands to be able to deploy more onto the board is going to be pretty important.
Oh, this is definitely a deck that can use 5 mana, 6 mana, even even at the 7 mana mark, you're going to be able to get a 2-drop out of your deck with Fiend Artisan, cast a Lurrus, and cast a 1-drop. So it's like you're almost never out of things to do with your mana.
Yeah, and getting another Cruel Celebrant here really puts the pressure on, if we can find ways of sacrificing things, we're going to see Sandoiche's life total dwindle pretty quickly. He really needs something like an Uro, an Expansion Explosion to run away with this game.
Yep, some way to go over the top of what Robert Stanley is doing. And since Robert Stanley is a little bit slower and a little bit more powerful than the red-black deck, it's a little harder to go over the top of. But Uro is certainly, an impressive card in this matchup.
Now, we saw Sandoiche with, pretty much a full Reclamation turn where they had Reclamation, they were able to, get their 3/3 and have all of the mana, and all they did was wilt a Cauldron.
Yeah, it wasn't much.
So that's a really good sign for Stanley. I think that if Sandoiche doesn't really have a lot of action here, this is a board state that, I like Stanley's spot in.
And here on this big turn, we just saw a cycle of a Triome. Not really what you want to see.
Mm-hmm. Oh, ooh, there's a flame
strong.
That's a lot of pings.
8 you.
8 damage is quite a bit, and now we're threatening to, be able to cast our Lurrus and get some stuff back here. Potentially call the Death Dweller back for a Cruel Celebrant and a Hunted Witness. These are really powerful plays that we can make.
And talk about,
that just snap resolved.
Yeah, and you said you liked a land earlier. Even on this turn, land would have been great instead of land pad. That 2 mana could have been used to trade a Hunted Witness for a Hunted Witness.
Sure.
Put you to 4, and now I have a 1/1 life flanker.
Mm-hmm.
Who did we give Death Touch? Hunted Witness, and we gave Menace to Cruel Celebrant? Sure, makes sense.
Sure. Yeah, the Hunted Witness is the one that you want to chump with, so I can see that getting Death Touch.
In the early stages of Call of Death Dweller, I was giving, and we talked about this earlier this term, you can give that Mayhem Devil Death Touch.
Mm-hmm.
Really go ham.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, if we're able to sacrifice this Hunted Witness for another, ooh, and Lampad is, I think this is a lethal threat. Oh.
Well, that's why we had to put it in the graveyard.
Yeah, countering that, very important here. And if honestly, if we were able to actually, well, yeah, I mean, being able to sacrifice this, as you said, for another Hunted Witness,
I mean,
it's a good drain.
Or Call
Call
Familiar.
Which one do you think is better in this spot?
Might be Whisper Squad. They're all
Um,
kind of the same. If there's no Scorpion in the Stecker, it would kind of be an easy Scorpion.
Ooh, Scorpion would be nice.
Yeah.
Um,
Scorpion instead of one of your other one-ofs?
all right, that's going to do it.
Robert Stanley.
Stanley.
Slice through this tournament. Let's go back to us in the booth. Going to be waiting on, of course, Xantai had to come in and give us sort of his final words, like he likes to give on the tournament. But Robert Stanley is the first winner of 15 points.
15 points.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. The first winner of the first tournament of our Lotus Box League.
Absolutely. I can get the point totals up.
Okay. Yeah.
Camera insert. And then here he is, the man that I always love to give my seat up to.
I want to say thank you to everybody who showed up. This was really awesome to commentate.
Yeah, no, dude, you did a great job. You want to do your closing thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this tournament was great. I loved just watching Week 1 Standard unfold. It was really awesome to see the decks that ended up kind of surging to the top. We definitely saw some storylines that made commentating really easy. Huge shout out to all of the viewers. 1,200 of you showed up to watch this, and it really means a lot to us. So we appreciate it.
No, definitely. I mean, Collins and I live together. And yeah, I mean, this is just incredible to be able to do this from our home.
Yeah.
But yeah, you all really showed up, and we want to keep doing this. So if you want to support us, keep coming back. We're going to be hosting another tournament.
Yep.
Very soon. And if you're looking to find out more information on this, you can go to lotusboxleague.com. And if you just want to be part of our community, join our Patreon.
Yep.
I mean, that is what gives us the ability to do what we do. And obviously, Cardboard Live, thank you for sponsoring us. Thank you for believing in us when we even didn't know what we were capable of. So
yeah, we're just getting started.
Yeah, I mean, Wilson and James, great guys. I definitely want to give a shout out to Robert. I was actually in a hangout with him like a week ago, probably maybe 2 weeks ago, and we were playing TFT, and we were just talking about bad beats, and now here he is, just EXOing a tournament. How many times do you get to say that?
EXO tournament, 9-rounder. You love to see that, and he is going to be number 1 on our leaderboard.
I can't think of a better person.
Yeah,
and
really excited for that. Leaderboard coming out tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay. I mean, tomorrow.
We'll make it happen.
Yeah, we'll make it happen. I mean, we want to be on top of things.
Yeah.
This guy knows a thing or two about EXOing a tournament.
I may have EXO'd a tournament.
Yeah, humans.
At some point.
Humans, hint, hint. All right. Anyways, guys, yeah, click that follow button if you already haven't.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, we'll see you guys next time.
All right. Peace.
See ya.